Good afternoon, everyone. This is your friend Naishad Gadani and Caroline Brown. It's been a while that we have seen each other. Not me and Caroline. I'm talking about you. That we have seen you. In a while, probably around 20, 30, 45 days or something. It's been long that we have met you. And it's good to be back. It's good to see you. Obviously, we can't see you much, and you can see us. But it's good to be back. It's good to start to talk about the things that we love. To talk about the things that matters to you, and a lot of other job seekers out there. So today's session, I will let Caroline set up the scene. It's a session that we just want to keep it very chilled out, light, but also give you some value as you're listening to us after a long time. So I'll hand it over to Caroline Brown.
Wow, that's a big campus, Nash. I don't know if I'm up to it. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to be back. It's been a long break, but actually I feel like we needed a long break after last year and the commitment that we made in terms of being on with a special guest every day and the amazing effort that you put in terms of finding most of those guests day after day and delivering all of that value. So I think, yeah, it's been fantastic to have a break and just do some general kind of R&R, but reflection on what it all meant and where to head for this year as well. Because I feel like, so many parts of the world are still in the midst of the depths of the pandemic, and we're certainly not out of the woods as what keeps happening and keeps popping up. So the anxiety that everybody was feeling last year, even though there's more confidence that's been reported in the economy, I still think where the anxiety is still around. And what I keep hearing from a lot of people, and I feel for myself, and I think also from you, is that it's been like everyone's tired. Everybody wants to do something. If you're going to work hard, even if you're looking for a job, if you're going to be working hard, then you want it to be fulfilling. Like you want it to be enriching and be meaningful, and also give you some time to spend with loved ones or your family or your friends, because that balance is really, really important. So it's a slightly different New Year feeling this year than it was last year, because normally people go, oh yep, New Year, I'm going to get my resume done, I'm going to get my LinkedIn profile done. Now's the year to make that change happen, and without giving much consideration to what that change looks like apart from a new job. And what I'm hearing from a lot of people is, like I said, I want something that I feel is going to be important, add some value and enrich me and be meaningful to me and give me some balance as well. I don't know if that's what you've been hearing as well, but that's certainly the feedback that I've been getting.
No, I don't know much about what's happening outside. I've not interacted with many job seekers in last 1.5 month or so, but I think you're rightly pointing out, last year has been kind of adrenaline rush, like an adventure, for both of us, is to do our part-time role. You running your own business, I do my side hustle, and then doing daily LinkedIn live. I think the activity was huge. Like it was daily, it's like going one after the other, right? And I think then suddenly it stopped. It's like no activity. Hit 23rd of December or 18th of December that we finished. It was a weekend. Then I had 3 days of work, which also kept me busy because we were putting a major funding proposal. But 23rd of December it stopped. Like everything came to a standstill. I'd say, hang on, just no activity, no external activities were happening. And I think what really helped me sail through this is cricket. I know it sounds pretty absurd to
Crazy.
many. Exactly. We went to watch Boxing Day Test, which was absolutely fun. And then daily I would, either be watching cricket or playing cricket with my kids. And I think that really kept kept that external activity going, that really kept me going, because otherwise there is no particular other activity, due to COVID, we could not go out as we originally would have planned to go out. So we, me, Nilda, and the kids, we went out to see, a couple of friends. We went to a beach on a very hot day. But apart from that, we just, stayed at home. Because Nilda went back to work, even during the Christmas holidays as well. So I think, that amount of no activity really kind of was a surreal experience, for me. That suddenly there's no phone calls ringing, there's no messages coming, there's nothing coming, and suddenly everything kind of came to a standstill. But it also allowed me to reflect on, what has been done, and what do I then genuinely want to get into. I think I still love the work around careers. It's not going away at all. But maybe there's something else that I need to dig deeper to see where else can I make a impact. What kind of areas do I want to work for, and everything. Yeah. So I think that really kind of churned a lot of my my energy in this time. And then I started work on second week of January, slowly sliding into that, which is becoming now full on at my work. But this time, this has given me, it's kind of a going up and down, and around my thinking about what do I want to do, where do I enjoy, what are the things that I can cut back on, what are the things that I can now build on. All those conversations. I've not kind of arrived at anywhere. I'm still in the journey, so to say. But yeah, so that's what my experience has been. I'm unsure, actually. If you ask me what job seekers are feeling, I'm really unsure. What they are feeling. I think one of the indicator that I can see is, usually I get a lot of inquiries or a lot of asking for help, but I've not been getting one at all. So I think that could be a great great kind of indicator that people are really proactive in doing what's required to be done. Or secondly, it could be that I'm not pretty good with marketing too. So I think it could be both the ways. It goes both the ways. But yeah, I think there's obviously data that says, even I had look at a tweet today about the surge in the ads, online ads as well, job ads as well, has gone up. I don't know. I don't know whether that's pre-COVID level, post-COVID. I don't know, but I think that has also gone up as well. So I think there is some positive movement happening in the labor market, but I think there's still underneath this is still, and I think you hit the nail on the head around what do I really want to do, where do I really enjoy myself in. I think those conversations people are having probably more openly and more honestly in this time, rather than now otherwise we would say, yeah, I'll probably have that conversation secretly with someone because I don't know anybody to find out where am I interested in, and whether I want to change my career, change my job, whatever. So I think that's my kind of observation, Caroline, these times.
It's funny, I read two fantastic books, and one I'm still halfway through over the period. One was The Passion Economy. So really finding your sweet spot in terms of the value that you can deliver, but how you deliver that, and doing something that only, like making a really meaningful experience for somebody, working on the strengths that you have, and how you can deliver that uniquely, which goes for basically, if you're in business, but also if you're looking for a job as well. So again, that kind of reflection time. And then, the other book which I want to chat about is Tiny Habits, which has just been a real eye-opener for me, because actually The Passion Economy led me down a path of reading a book called Nudge, and then now Tiny Habits, but around how we make change, and how we make habits that create that change, but not just that, how we make stickable habits as well. So I feel like with the work that I've been doing with clients, I'm asking them to do a lot of work relying on motivation straight up. But motivation isn't your friend a lot of the time, because once the fear goes, it might drive that change. You might lose your motivation to do it. Or once the desire goes, you might lose your motivation to do it as well. So, the book Tiny Habits talks about 3 things that you need three proven ingredients that you need in terms of making sustainable change. And the first one is, like, to create a habit is a prompt. And then you need the motivation, the ability, motivation, ability, and prompt. I'm getting it wrong myself. But the critical one is to make it small and to make it easy to do. So I thought that was really, really interesting in terms of, things that we talk about in terms of making a change in your career, like getting people to do the hard thing first isn't necessarily the best thing. And, you hear the theories around swallow the frog in the morning, that'll set you up for the rest of the day. But change doesn't need to be swallowing the frog type thing. It can just be one small step that you take at a time, and one easy step based on things that you actually enjoy doing. So those 2 books, if you're looking for some great inspiration, The Passion Economy and Tiny Habits, I think are fantastic books that kind of are reflective of the time, because everybody I've spoken to about that book, that they've either read it or are really keenly interested in what it says.
Yeah, I think small changes, incremental, changes are probably things that we have, informally touched on in our various discussions even last year too. Is that make one phone call that you don't want to make, or make one phone call, send one email to somebody that you think that you'll never return their email about, in the context of job search and careers and all those things. And I think it is about that small incremental changes that ultimately leads into bigger changes. We all know the domino effect of a butterfly fluttering in Amazon causes, hurricanes in US or Europe and everywhere else. So I think it's quite connected, but more or less, I think it does give you that sense of confidence as well. And I've not read the book at all, but I think just based on our discussions during this time, I've started to undertake 2 habits, very, very small habits. One is that I always, loved reading. And I think I took on that when I was in quarantine, for 15 days. And I read a complete book during that time. But then I slowly, gradually kind of didn't hold on to that habit at all, because I made it, that I have to read the book. I didn't make it easy for me to even trick my brain that it's possible for me to do. I think that's what thing was. So said every day I'll just read for 15 minutes, whether that's a one book or whether I want to read 5 different books in 5 days, doesn't matter. But I will time that with reading a book with daily. And what I've done on the top of that is, because my son who is in grade 3, he also gets a book to read. So I decided, when you are reading, I'm reading, and you read quietly over there, and I'll read quietly over here. And I just want to make sure that I read. And I think that has, it's not, wasn't just about the book that I'm reading, but it just gave me that confidence that I can make these kind of changes. I can. Otherwise, that used to live as a pipe dream. That it's possible, but not now, probably. I will read it when I've got 3 hours stretch, and then I'll read the whole thing. No, it's that's not going to work. I think I just had to hack my tell my brain that it is okay, because it freaks out. Oh God, I have to sit here. There's so much things to watch on Netflix, and there's so much things to do this, and you're sitting here watching this. So I think I had to really trick my brain to allow me to do that. So that's one thing that I've taken. And another thing is I've not really done, but I've started to sit quietly for 15, 20 minutes, and sometimes probably for half an hour, because I've just tied up everything with my grade 3 son, who's I help him to sleep, and I switch off the light and I put my phone aside, and I'm just sitting there while he's also trying to go to sleep. Earlier I would scroll the phone and look at Twitter, and gets consumed by the world affairs and gets angry by the world affairs. But now I put that aside and just sit there, don't even talk to him, just sit there. And I just allow the various thoughts, starting from why climate change is happening to what am I going to you know make tomorrow for my lunch and everything else. I dab into various oceans of thoughts in that time. But it's good that that I'm that small things, just not big things, but I think small things helped me to gain that confidence that it is possible to make those small incremental kind of changes as well. So that's my experience in last fortnight or so. So once you told me about your daily habits and how it is also helping you in kickstarting a great day, but also clarifying a lot of thoughts and everything else. So yeah.
It's an interesting thing because the tiny habits theory is about starting really small. So, but also picking things that you really enjoy and have the ability to do. So, if you discover that reading a book for 15 minutes feels like a chore, you got to think about the thing that you're wanting to change. So if reading a book for 15 minutes feels like a chore, then it is, and you're probably not likely to stick to it. And that's why there's an exercise in the book called Swarm, which is putting thinking about the thing that you want to change, and then putting thinking about do you have the ability to do it? Are you likely to do that? So, if your idea around reading a book is to keep yourself, I guess, informed about what's going on in the world, that's the aspiration. Is reading a book for 15 minutes the thing that's going to be the magic behavior that you're going to do? And the starting small might be just, so it's kind of like doing some brain dumping of ideas of things that are actually going to help you be more educated around what's going on in the world, for example, or your profession, and then experimenting and applying some curiosity to it. So if it's difficult to sit down for 15 minutes and read a book, then is it easier to start off reading one page, or would you get the same sort of information by listening to a podcast during your lunchtime? So for me, the act of reading, I'm actually listening to Tiny Habits as an Audible book because I enjoy podcasts. So listening to the author read the book is really pleasurable for me, and it's something that I'm likely to stick at. So that's the thing about it. It's like to be curious about, like, have the aspiration, but be curious about the ways to get there, because it may not necessarily be what you actually think will work for you. So so the habit that I started, and I actually started it before I read the book, and I realized that it was a challenge, not a habit, which was basically going down to the bay for a swim every morning. And everybody sort of thinks, oh, that's amazing, but the bay is actually warm at this time of year, no matter what the weather is, which is what I discovered, which is the thing about doing this stuff, is you do discover, what you fear isn't what actually happens. And there might be something else, but it may not be what you think is going to be the hardest bit. So for me, like, I have been going, I set myself a 28-day challenge, which will turn into a habit for me because I discovered that I have enjoyed it so much. But the 28-day challenge was to go down to the beach every day in the morning or get in the water for a swim, basically. And so, yeah, I'm on day 26 and I've maintained it. And, it's interesting about the idea about habits and some of the things that you read about, needing an accountability buddy. Well, I discovered I don't need an accountability buddy to actually do that. So I'm going to do it regardless, because I actually discovered that I enjoyed it so much. So, so you discover different things about yourself. And the thing that I've found hardest isn't the cold, isn't the action of getting down there, it's the waves. So my accountability buddy is actually turned into my motivator, because she goes out further than I do. And I'm like, oh, well, if she can do that, it's safe and I can do it. So it's interesting things that you discover about yourself along the way. But yeah, like from a, for me, it wasn't so much like it started off as a challenge and it's turned into a habit. So I kind of turned it a little bit on its head, but it does fit in that kind of theory of experimentation and see what works for you. So for me, it's about, reducing stress and starting the day off in a really powerful way. So yeah, we'll see if I'm doing it in the middle of winter, but certainly for now, it's working quite well.
I agree. Well, we got some comments. I don't know who the LinkedIn user is, but says sweet spot is a great concept. If you're interested in self-exploration, have a look at Career DNA. So I think that must be Alan, because Alan, has done a lot of work around Career DNA. Welcome, Alan. And small changes, small steps increases flexibility and agility. I could not agree with you more, Alan. Thank you again. In terms of what would you suggest, Caroline, since you're kind of a veteran for a few days about the tiny habits than me, or maintaining that amount of that, in terms of job search and careers, right? What are some of the things that you would throw as a, I don't know, challenge, as a, as an opportunity to all listeners who might be interested in pursuing this? What would you suggest?
It's an interesting one, because I think it's decide on, think about what your aspiration is. So, that reflection around what it is that you want to do and might soothe, feed the soul is a good place to start. And I think, one of the things that we're going to develop is like a little Kickstarter kit around this, which we'll talk about in upcoming shows, but it is about the idea about tiny doable actions. So but I would start off, like we always say, to think about, where it is, what you're drawn to doing, but, and so have that aspiration. And then, there's lots of places to start with that, but kind of think about, well, where's the most likely opportunity going to be for me? And I think, we all know that opportunities come from networking and discussions. So how do you set yourself up with a habit around, a small habit, like the tiniest thing, around getting yourself out amongst your network, because you will get some great ideas and some great support from that. But again, I think with these things too is around job search, particularly if you're in a job where the motivation might waver around that. Maybe, and it's a big thing around creating a habit, is to link it to something you already do, right? So the thing about getting into the water, that's linked to me getting up in the morning, but it's also linked, and I think this is a really interesting psychological thing. If you've got kids or if you've got other obligations, if you're a working parent, for example, is to link it to time you already own. So your time in the morning might be time that you already own as your time. Because for me in my business, that's my time. Do you know what I mean? So I don't feel like a level of guilt about not getting back to clients while I'm cleaning my teeth. So the morning swim is linked to my time in the morning. So it might be, the actions that you take might be linked to time that you consider your own, and that might be your commute, or it might be you coming back from home, like back from work and spending time in your car doing something small. So I think that's, to think about, number one would be to think about what it is that you want to be doing that feeds your soul, and number two is where could you carve out what's the time of the day that's your time, If you have a lunch break, that might be your time that you consider to be your time. And then to start small as well. So to start with those easy wins. So for me, it might be, changing a headline on your LinkedIn profile and sending out a few connection requests to reconnect with people that you know. So because the thing about the tiny habits is that, like, your brain loves the idea of accomplishing something towards your success. It gives you that boost, that idea about momentum creates the motivation and not the other way around. So that's what I think, it's finding that time that's your time, or linking it to the time that's your time, I think might be a great place to start. What are your thoughts, Nesh?
I think I agree. I think, the way I did that was to, anyway, I'm sitting there, anyway, I'm involved either in, helping my son read or during his study time. Anyway, I'm sitting there and not doing much because he's doing by himself. If he's unsure, he will ask me. And rather than watching it, looking the Twitter trend and what's happening around the world, I would rather do something that I always wanted to do and something that I enjoy doing. I think that's what I did, is to club it together so that I don't feel that I'm taking time from anybody else. I'm just using the time what I already have and being a little bit more smart about it. That's what has worked. Now it doesn't, it doesn't mean that, every time when my son is, studying or reading, he doesn't need my help, and I'll say no, I need to read my book. No, if he wants something, then I'll honor that, and then find 10-15 minutes somewhere else. But I think that's what allows me to do. I think I have significantly reduced, the in this context. I think I've reduced the amount of time I see LinkedIn feed as well. At the same time, secondly, and that has helped me. I think it just because I found that it was unnecessary. It wasn't adding anything to my view of the world. It wasn't adding anything to that. I might as well, do something that I feel adds value to my world. It expands. I want to watch, I want to read something that expands what I already know rather than acquiring new things. So that's what I have kind of taken on to do. Also, at the same time, as most of you know, I finished my first semester of my grad cert in career education, and I will be starting a second semester, fairly soon, in next 2-3 weeks or so. So I'm really committed to finishing my studies as well by June. So I become a qualified career counselor, and then I can, as I say, I can mess up with people's career, with credibility. So yeah, so that's what my next, 6 months are really looking like, around finishing my studies, building on what I already know, and obviously developing few products, which are also based on lot of thinking that you and I have done, but also based on a lot of interviews that we did last year, 193 of them. So I think that is what the idea is.
It's a funny thing too, Nash. One of the things about, just reflecting back on what you're saying in the Tiny Habits book as well, is you need a cheer squad, right? So a cheer squad, like you could be like your own cheer squad, like to really celebrate the successes that you have. And I'm just thinking, like, in this forum, if you've got a great example where you need some cheering on, or people to just go fantastic and well done, please do let us know stuff that's worked for you and your successes as well. And also, for you and the study that you've done, I know that that's been a huge thing for you to find time to do and get through, and you have had a bit of a stop start over the years with it, and you're on the home straight, which is absolutely fantastic. So I look forward to seeing what's going to come out of that. And it's funny because with the swim that I did, I randomly put it up on Facebook as a 28-day challenge. And then I got all these people going, oh, well done you. And I'm like, oh, bloody hell, I have to do it now. So, because I'm going to look like a goose if I don't. But what's kept me going is that people have gone, yay, keep it up, well done, woohoo, go you. And also, it's inspired a whole bunch of other people to do a whole bunch of their own different things as well. So that idea about, really celebrating every single win that you do, because it feeds the motivation and the momentum, basically. So, and also, I guess, going back to that little bit about find your right accountability buddy. So, mine is looking like a goose to my peers is enough to keep me getting in that cold water. So, yeah.
Yeah, agree. But you don't celebrate, swim, 28 days of having the swim, and having half a kilo of chocolate cake also, because you just
Don't celebrate like that. That'd be counterproductive.
you don't
Yeah,
you don't want.
eating my chocolate cake because I earned it. No. No, but actually,
Then you have to do
like,
280 days of
what
challenge.
it has done is, like, I feel healthy, right? So I don't want to kind of ruin that. Like, it's a good foundational habit. I don't want to kind of ruin that by, having an extra 2 glasses of wine or eating crap, basically, because, it's like a feeling.
We might have to cultivate. We might have to cultivate another, series of tiny habits to encounter that.
That's right. Yeah. Damn it, I can eat that slab of chocolate cake. So, yeah.
Oh, that's fun. All right. Okay. So what do we because we've now changed, so obviously people won't see us daily.
Yeah.
And so can you give our listeners an idea of what they can expect from us in 2020, and how many times we will show up, what are the kind of discussions that we want to have, and what is that we want you to help us with as well.
Yeah. So in keeping with our own momentum, our own sort of philosophy, we are doing one show a week at 12 p.m. on a Friday. It's doable. We will be here except next Friday. But every Friday after that, we will be here at 12 o'clock, unless we've got an international guest, because 12 o'clock seems to be a ridiculous hour for the rest of the world, which is fair enough. And the theme will be around just creating tiny habits, so small things that you can do to help set you up for success. So we get people, that's going to be the theme with the people that we're going to be discussing or having on our show. And on our first show for the year, which is on the 19th, I think, just looking at my dates, we're bringing back Michelle Hogan, who has works with the tiny habit and habit setting theory with a lot of her clients to talk about how well that's worked for her. And then on the show after that, we've got Sharon Vandermeer coming on. Again, she's got a great habit of meditating in the morning, she told me. So we're going to talk about, for each of our guests, we're going to be talking about their power habits, so how that actually works in real life. Because I think it's great to get really, like, instead of talking theory, to talk about real life examples of what set people up for success. And then after that, we're going to get the Wonder Technique David Hennessy on. I'm just talking to him about a time as well. So once a week, 12 o'clock, Friday, 45 minutes Q&A. We'd love to hear what's worked for you in terms of making change. But also, Nation and I are going to release a Kickstarter kit. So it'll be a really economical little package that we're going to offer people, a doable little package, very affordable, in keeping with the time, but a Kickstarter kit that's going to help you change, create the momentum to change your career and change your job, because we think change doesn't need to be difficult, and we want to make it as easy for you to find something that's going to feed the soul in the upcoming year. Because I think that's been, a big theme that's come out of last year has been how important self-care is.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And we will see you again on not next Friday, but the following one, that we will kick off the February 19th at 12 p.m. Melbourne time. And as I always say, you still have to look after yourself. We are not still out of the woods. Obviously, vaccinations are on the way, and but I'm pretty sure that me and Caroline are not in that sphere to receive them straight away. So we will still have to wait, to receive the vaccinations. But we're looking forward to catching up with all of you. And in the meanwhile, if you got ideas, if you think that, oh, we should invite this person as a guest, or we should talk about this particular aspect, feel free to reach out to us, whether that's through LinkedIn, email, or even if you ask, I'm pretty sure that Caroline is happy to share the phone number to talk about some of the things that you are dealing with. If you want any help around finding a job, managing your career transition, please reach out to us as well. More than happy to have a chat and see how things span out. So until we see you on the 19th, have a great weekend, everyone. Have a safe weekend and look after yourself and your loved ones. Bye for
Bye
now,
for
everyone.
now.